construită pe malurile râului Leine, capitala Saxoniei de Jos, Hanovra, este o metropolă fermecătoare, dar în același timp modestă, cu un trecut aristocratic fascinant, muzee fantastice și grădini splendide. Hanovra din zilele noastre este, în mare măsură, o invenție postbelică, cu străvechea sa strălucire arhitecturală pierdută în urma bombardamentelor din al doilea război mondial. Orașul și-a construit o nouă față în jurul culturii și frumuseții sale naturale deosebite. Unul dintre militanții conservării trecutului arhitectural al orașului este arhitectul Cambisia Carl Hakim Meibodi, care ne-a explicat cât de importante sunt aceste proiecte de conversie ale clădirilor istorice.
Hello, I'm Cambisia Carl Hakim Meibodi. I'm Chief Architect for International Business by IF Architecture GmbH here in Hannover. We are a company of now 15-16 employed architects and engineers, and we have been working here now 20 years almost. Since 2005-2008, we started our company with the focus of doing complicated projects in used buildings. So refurbishing, reusing, recycling, upcycling from old buildings, because it's the most difficult part you can do. Really, to take an old building and bring new users into it, it's much more challenging in comparison to remove it with new. Yeah? So it's much easier, but no charm, no history, no structure. So always what we try to do is really to see, understand the old buildings and give them a second life cycle. One of the big projects we will see today is the Umspannwerk. It's an old power station or a transformation station in an old airport in Hanover, Farnwald, and it is a challenge. At the time when we came to it, it was to be demolished. And with a lot of fantasy and the right clients, we managed to give it a new life cycle of the next 70 years.
Unul dintre cele mai emblematice complexe de clădiri ale orașului este fostul aeroport, construit în perioada de ascensiune a naziștilor. Un obiectiv asociat cu o istorie nefericită care, datorită viziunii și determinării arhitectului german, a primit o nouă viață.
Technically, it was quite a difficult point because it was never used for any warm usage. It was always technically used. Today, there's a big restaurant, a big design company in those same rooms, but we had to completely dismantle the inner structure. So we built a steel cage around the house, took out all the internal concrete structures, and rebuilt the ceiling at a proper level for the restaurant. And for the design office, we made an access to the roof area so we can see the upstairs with the nice beams.
Conversia fostei centrale electrice a fost una destul de dificilă, mai ales din punct de vedere tehnic. În prezent, la etaj găzduiește o companie de design și inovație, iar parterul a fost transformat într-un restaurant în care noul și vechiul se combină.
It's a building from the 1920s, extended in the 30s and further in the 50s. And it used to be really big electrical machines, high as a building, and low ceilings, concrete, various technical areas. And shortly before it's demolished, we managed to find a client and develop it as an office here for a design and innovation agency. And downstairs later we'll see the restaurant.
Etajul unde își are sediul compania de design are la bază comunicarea. Arhitecții au păstrat elementele originale ale clădirii, dar au deschis spațiile și au creat zone de muncă, dar și de interacțiune și recreere.
So when we then had this level charted, we made an opening to the ceiling to create an interconnection between the two levels, internal connection. And this is a new steel construction which imitates and comes close to the historical structure, and it creates an intermediate space where you can walk into different areas.
Proiectul a necesitat studii complexe pentru a înțelege materialele și problemele pe care o astfel de clădire le-ar putea pune. Astfel, s-au utilizat tencuieli speciale care absorb sărurile care se infiltrează în pereții interiori, s-au păstrat elementele industriale din oțel și au fost izolate atât fonic cât și împotriva incendiilor, mai ales că la parterul clădirii a fost amenajat un restaurant.
Because it's built in 3 different times with 3 different quality of materials, we tested a grid of points for water absorption in the stone and in the plaster elements. and identified the different qualities, three different qualities of stone absorption qualities. And the point is, old stones like this sometimes are not water resistant to pressing grain. And then there is a tendency to use hydrophobic surfaces, which means 10 years later, 5 years later, the stone becomes sand and falls down. I think it was maybe a year to finish it, but it was not that expensive at that time. I think 5 million euros for this is really nothing today. The owners of l'osteria, so the operator of the restaurant, they bought it with their own money, developed it, made all these changes, got tenants, themselves as a tenant. Now it's a project. Now it is a clearly understandable business. Now finance investor comes and buys it and adds to its portfolio. If you don't do it this way, the finance operator can't use something like this. It needs too much fantasy. So you need individual entrepreneur, risk takers, doers and makers who can do this, and not the employees. The owners have to do it, and because it's about risk taking. And this risk they took has paid off now very well. And the site, it has these buildings like this develop their sites. You go places, we have seen at Thielplatz today, everybody says will never work. Never, every restaurant said it will close in a year. They created the environment. Those guys at that time, they closed the restaurants now.
Până și designul interior al restaurantului a păstrat viziunea inițială a arhitectului. De la ușile vechi aduse de la un castel din Franța și până la corpurile de iluminat industriale, această clădire este un exemplu de conservare și redare în circuit a unei clădiri istorice.